What's up, y'all? So I just made a video talking about pretty much this exact same thing, but I'm gonna reiterate some points, okay? Let's talk about what it will actually take to create a secondary colony on Mars, okay? What will it actually take? The easy answer is it's gonna take a significant chunk of our economic output here on planet Earth to actually produce what's necessary, not only to make it to Mars, but to set up a base and whatever else is necessary on Mars. Elon Musk, he's already done a lot to, kind of lower the cost of, a mission to Mars with the self-landing rockets, which, has lowered the cost of, rockets by like a factor of 10. He's also designing the big, what he calls a Starship, formerly BFR. And so he's already doing a lot with SpaceX, and actually what he's done with SpaceX seems to have gotten the commercial side of rocketry rolling again. And there's a lot of companies. You have Blue Origin and ULA and a few others. So that's already going on, but really to actually create a base on Mars, okay, that's going to take a significant amount of resource, more than SpaceX has right now, okay, more than all the companies combined have right now. There's going to have to be a big chunk of the human economic, output dedicated to making that happen. And so how will we make that happen? How does the economy work to make something like that happen? Well, what really, the easy way to say it is, a lot of money will have to go toward that endeavor, because money directs resource. And so where will that money come from? Is it going to come from people that just donate to the cause? It could, okay. But really where it'll probably come from, and it's very similar to people donating money to the cause, people's tax dollars put into a federal or any type of government budget, and then the government giving money to, let's say, NASA or the armed forces, and then them giving the money necessary, I guess, maybe managing that project and, putting that money toward that. So, giving it to the companies, like SpaceX and Blue Origin, whoever, to actually fund that endeavor. So a big chunk of the economic output is going to be necessary to actually make that happen. And the way to make that happen, the way to actually direct the resources that are necessary, is through money. And that's relevant. You have to understand the economy, how economics works, and how business works. So for that to actually happen, it'll probably be, people could just straight up dedicate, donate money. And that's basically what taxes is. People are donating money to the government for various, government projects, right? So it's pretty much the same thing, but people could just directly, donate money to that. But chances are with the current system, how it's running, that'll probably be money taken from taxes, given to the armed forces and or NASA, and then them managing the project and basically hiring SpaceX and whoever else on a contractual basis to, make that whole, secondary colony on Mars happen. And I think they're going for the moon. I think that's something that they're really going for, and that's really how it's going right now. They have what they call the, I think it's Artemis missions going on. They say by 2024 they're gonna have another man on the moon, and they're gonna do the same thing. I think they have a couple people lined up. I think they have SpaceX and Blue Origin are two contenders for landing on the moon, but NASA's going contractual with the commercial, rocket companies, right? And so it's already doing that with the moon. So, the same thing, you can see that same thing for Mars, except that's going to be a lot more money, a lot more resource. So it'd basically be like that same thing for the moon, except stepped up like maybe 100-fold. I don't know. So you can see the funding mechanism. So really what this is a matter of, like I said, allocating resource to dedicate toward, such an endeavor. And money is really how resources moved around in the world. And so money, you just got to understand economics. You got to understand money in the mix of it all. And that's really what money does. It moves resource. And so for us to actually do that as a species, one way or another, a big chunk of, our economic output will have to be dedicated to that endeavor, creating a secondary colony on Mars. And, everybody always says you need a reason, you need a why. And the reason, it's kind of like Elon Musk already said, we want a secondary colony on Mars in case something happens on Earth, comet can come through, a plague can wipe everybody out, like something could happen, right? And so just having that secondary colony is like a safeguard against human extinction, and that's a good enough why for me, you know what I'm saying? And so really understanding this, the funding mechanism, like I'm saying, money moves the resource, and that's what we need is a lot of resource, a big chunk of the human productivity, put toward that endeavor. Understanding the funding mechanisms that are possible and are there, you can see that, let's say we kind of do it like we're doing with the moon mission right now. Money taken out of taxes, from your paychecks, given to NASA, armed forces, whoever, and being dedicated to a mission to the moon, whatever, and hiring these companies contractually. If we understand that, that's like the main funding mechanism right now, beside just donating money, individuals donating money toward it. But if we understand that that is the main model that's at work right now, then we could see, with the current situation, that there might have to be a lot more money going toward, such endeavors, such as, I guess the main endeavor, going to Mars, right? And so that might have to be demanded by taxpayers. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at here. The money is your money. It's being taken out of your paychecks, and it's supposed to be spent on stuff that, that the elected officials that you elect, decide to spend money on. And really, people are supposed to have, the representatives and stuff like that, they are elected, and they're supposed to represent what people want. So it's your money taken out of your paycheck, and you elected the officials to represent your interest. So really, one way or another, that has to work in such a way that, when people say, hey, we want a secondary colony on Mars, that actually happens, with your money. Because that's really how enough money, I guess that's really just at the end of the day, how enough resource will be allocated to actually make a secondary colony on Mars possible. Not just possible, it is possible right now, but let's actually make it happen. I could just see it, I guess, like logistically it's going to take a huge chunk of human resource to actually make that happen. A big chunk. Like I'm talking like maybe like 20% of the economic output of mankind, like it's going to take a big chunk. And like I said, Elon Musk is already doing a lot with the reusability of rockets. He downed the price by like a factor of 10, which is significant. Imagine I said 20% times 10, it might not even been possible without, Elon Musk having done that, made rockets reusable. So that's already a major step. The commercialization of, rocketry is already up and running. So we got a lot of stuff going, but really what we're going to need is major resource allocation, and that requires major funding. And that major funding, the only place I see that coming from is either people donating money, or like I said, the money that you donate in taxes, You demanding that it be spent on something like this. And that's what people need to remember, man. The money taken out of taxes is your money, dude. The people that are in government are elected representatives supposed to, represent your interests. And so whatever you basically do, the money, you're giving it away. It's supposedly voluntary. Okay, so it's your money regardless. It's your money. And then, the people that you elect, are supposed to represent your interests. So that should work in the way it's supposed to. And the money you give to that big old pool that they call a federal budget or whatnot, you should definitely have some say in where that goes. You should really, not just some say, really, like I said, the officials, the politicians are elected to represent your interests. So they're supposed to do pretty much what people want them to do. What you want them to do. That's probably the best way to say it. So yeah, that's the only way I see, really logistically, man, like it actually working economically, There has to be, it's gonna take a lot of resource, and for that resource to be, allocated, it's gonna take a lot of money. And the only place I see that much money is the federal budget. And so people have to demand it, I'm telling you. Or people could just not pay taxes, keep all their money, and then just dedicate it directly themselves, Could always do that. But, current system set up, it's set up that way. That's the way the government is set up anyway. It's set up so that, you're basically donating money to a budget, and then, that budget is supposed to be used to do things that you want, the politicians that you elect to do. Build schools, sure. Pay firefighters, pay police force in your city, stuff like that. Yeah, that's all good stuff. Sometimes you see the government spend money on some questionable stuff, so you gotta keep an eye on that one. And I think there's a lot of places where government's spending money stupidly that can be, redirected toward, a secondary colony on Mars. You know what I'm saying? It's very simple stuff, dude. Very, very simple stuff. You just have to understand the economy, basically, and, kind of business. And like I said, it's all really about resource allocation. That's really what it all is. And money directs resource. And you already see, like I said, for us to get the significant amount of resource that is probably necessary, it's going to take a significant amount of money to, pay paychecks, buy the resource from various parts of the economy. It's a business thing. It's an economic and business thing. And, so the better you understand that, the more we can actually make this happen. That's why I'm explaining it. Because I know people need to understand this. Because it's going to take a lot of resource. And to obtain that much resource, to get that much resource that we can dedicate to a secondary colony, dude, it's going to take a lot of money. And the only place I see that much money is in a collective, grouping of money. People can crowdfund, but that's already what taxes is. So that's already what it is. So yeah. Anyway, I just thought I'd talk about that, economic stuff in regard to, this whole mission to Mars, man. It's so simple, man. I see it. It's just, I look at the whole economy like one giant business, basically, and here's what we got to do to make this happen. We need this much resource to make that happen, and now we just have to make that happen. Economically, it's gotta make it happen. I don't know. That's what you gotta do. You gotta make it happen. That's all. I don't know. Whatever. With that being said, man, I think that's something I think people need to know, because I think what's going to have to happen is people are going to have to demand that money be spent on that, a big chunk of taxes be spent on that, It's your money, remember that. So, and the people that are in office, politicians, they're elected by you to represent your interests. They're supposed to do what you say with your money. Remember that. So that's already like a crowdfunding system. So, we really want to make this happen. We have to demand it. We have to make it. I mean, it's our system. You know, democracy is the people's system. So it's just like, it's just a crowdfunding mechanism. That's what taxes are. That's what the federal budget is. You know, it's a fund. It's a crowd-funded budget, and you gotta make it work in the right way. You gotta see the systems, understand how the systems work, make them work in the right way. So that being said, there you go. I know a lot of crooked politicians ain't gonna like this. It's gonna be like, oh, don't give them ideas. Don't tell the people that it's their money, even though it is, and don't tell them that we're actually elected to do what they want us to do. Don't tell them that we're having fun out here spending their money in all these stupid ways. Don't tell them. Don't put any ideas in their brain. Don't teach them how democracy's supposed to actually work. Don't tell them all that. Too late. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that, and talk to you guys later. I'm out.